book of mental illnesses, don't we? The DSM-5. The last copy I looked at had 509 diagnoses in it, I believe. 509 mental illnesses. However, it's not actually the therapist's Bible. That's not the real name of it. And the Book of Mental Illnesses is also not the name of it. Matter of fact, mentally ill, mental illness, none of those are in the name of the book. Now, how many times have we seen that a victim who is called mentally ill was actually victimized? And how many times has it been because they went in by themselves? I mean, we're talking about almost a history of never. Police don't want to deal with it. It's a big fucking mess in court. It's a big bunch of paperwork. They'd rather just ignore the problem and hope it goes away. Hope it goes away. Well, what about when it doesn't? And they get to use that term, mentally ill. You guys, a lot of you, I'm sure you have families that use that against you. You're mentally ill. You're mentally ill. Well, you're mentally ill. Well, you're mentally ill. It's just a fucking insult. It's not a diagnosis. Matter of fact, as much as I am aggravated by this, you guys push the mentally ill thing as if it's a diagnosis of its own, and specifically a diagnosis of a horrible person. We're talking about the worst of the worst. We're talking about school shooters. We're talking about Jeffrey Dahmer and Jack the Ripper. I mean, this is what people associate with mental illness. Or, on the other extreme, they think of people like Zach Boatman. Yeah, he's schizophrenic, and yeah, he tells people he's Satan, but when I needed to run off child molesters, who did I go get? I went and got Zach Boatman for two reasons. Number one, he's very big, and number two, he's very nonviolent. When I have seen him have a violent episode, it's been a straight-up episode. And the cops in those situations, you'd be surprised. They use him for jail fodder all the time to increase their numbers. He's mentally ill. He's mentally ill. But when he commits actual crimes, then they want to look the other way. That's weird to me. But why is that? Because if they grab him for actual crimes, instead of basically blaming him for every petty crime that'll make somebody happy. Oh, something was awry here or awry there. Well, we arrested Zach Boatman for menacing or for vandalism or for something. So Zach Boatman's in the paper. We busted the guy who did it. No, you didn't. You went and got somebody who you could call mentally ill and stick it on. Now you get to see how my diagnoses versus what the police wanted to say and what they wanted to push and what they wanted to tell people. And people made decisions based on those lies. The jails made decisions based on those lies. They knew that they could pick on me and make fun of me and berate me and deny me my rights, and nobody would care because, first of all, there's no body cameras. There's no audio recordings. It's their word versus mine. They can antagonize the shit out of me, and they often do. As we know, predators like to choose positions of power where they can get away with it and have easy access to their victims. Much like people who think that it's okay to rape old women will get a job as an orderly at a nursing home. Next thing you know, your grandma's getting raped, and she tries to tell on her rapist, and the hospital, the facility itself will cover for that man. How many times, especially in the 90s, when we first got cameras and people had to, it was a big camera that you still had to use back then. It was a big camera. And you got to manufacture a gift for your grandma where you're hiding the camera inside of a huge vase or something of that nature, that you're leaving for your grandma in order to catch the guy who's raping her. Like, yeah, you say, hey, grandma, when that guy comes on duty, or he comes and does that at a specific time, you press the go button on that, and you catch that bitch. Now we got to look at the number of victims that have been found that are called mentally ill. I mean, the Adams County, right after that situation with Natalie Bollinger, they had one of their 27-year veterans of the force drove a woman, was supposed to drive a mentally ill woman from the hospital house. On the way there, he decided it was okay to rape her on the hood of his vehicle. The only reason he got busted is because family come forward and asked for that body cam evidence, asked for that dash cam, busted that son of a bitch. All these people who wanted to tell me they believe me, they believe me, they believe me, then why didn't you help me? If you believed me, why didn't you help me? Why didn't you look? When I told you I don't need you to believe me, I need you to know for sure. I need you to look at the evidence and verify it. Why didn't you even try? Plausible deniability. What if I actually had killed Natalie? What if I actually had committed those heinous crimes? Well, they're not going to help me get that in court because they don't want their name associated. It's got nothing to do with right or wrong. These people obviously knew the shit was going on. Obviously, I did try to show them. Obviously, I did try to tell them. Otherwise, how the fuck do I have all this evidence of those things? But then I don't have access or the availability to all of the resources needed to show all of you, and to do so safely, and to protect people in the process. How many times have police shot an unarmed person and said, oh, well, he was mentally ill, or I thought he was mentally ill? Now, I want you to put this in perspective, okay? Mentally ill, according to the DSM-5, depression is one of those mental illnesses. Post-traumatic stress disorder is one of those mental illnesses. Trauma responses like what I have, when I have to go to police officers to turn in their fellow fucking coworkers. And you guys see why we have mandated reporters in these situations. Because these quote-unquote professionals, these people don't want their coworkers to lose their job. Oh, they shouldn't lose their license and their job over some fucking autistic retard. Let's just pretend for their sake. That's not okay. How many times have the police shot a man and they got away with it by saying, well, I thought he was mentally ill. You thought he was mentally ill, but by mentally ill, what the fuck do you mean? You guys want to pretend that I'm generalizing. No, I'm talking about long-term abuse, and a lot of it. When these guys generalize, like when they say drugs, they tell the hospital I'm on drugs. Hospital writes down I'm on drugs. Drugs. What drugs? I'm not sure if you noticed, but in my hospital paperwork from Chesapeake, Virginia, the stuff that I have also posted at least 8 or 10 different times, I've shown the actual paperwork itself. Now, when I was there, I told them that I hadn't smoked pot in 5 weeks. So they wrote down marijuana usage. That's specific. See, that's the difference between when a cop tells a hospital staff something and when a doctor or a hospital staff is actually writing it down of their own volition. When I spoke to that mental health worker in Virginia, in Chesapeake, in the hospital, I told her, I said, hey, you know what? I smoke pot, but I stopped 5 weeks ago. Natalie Bollinger is trying to get off of fucking drugs. Obviously, it's difficult to get sober, be sober, and stay sober when you're not around sober people. So, of course, I explained it to her. Now, of course, I was not happy with the fact that she wanted to write that down as a diagnosis, but it's specific. Specifically says marijuana. Now, with these hospitals, where these cops fucked up, taking me to these hospitals and telling the hospitals that I was schizophrenic and having it written on that piece of paper, them having hospital staff write that on a piece of paper, not even a doctor, but nurses write that on a piece of paper because the police officer I'm trying to turn in wants to tell them that I'm schizophrenic. Well, that ain't right. That's not okay, and it's highly immoral and illegal. But I want you to look at the help that I had to go to. Because when you're called mentally ill, you have no rights. You have to go to these different agencies that are supposed to do it. And they're supposed to help you prepare that stuff for court. They're supposed to help you to turn it in when you're fucking abused. But how am I supposed to get that to happen when for months and months and months on end, it's just a fucking argument? It's an argument. Whether it's with Marcia Estrada or with Megan Misigatis. Megan Misigatis is horrible about arguing. She thinks she's right. She must be right because I'm the autistic retard. And when you're going to talk to me like that, yeah, I'm going to call you a fucking moron. I got an IQ of 172. All right, so I get it. You got yourself degrees. You've got letters behind your name, lady. Did you use those letters? You certainly tried when it was a day late and a dollar fucking short, didn't you? But you did try. When did I first start going to Megan Misigatis about, well, the threats, the harassment, and the assaults? Day fucking one. The first day I spoke with her. That's recorded. She called me in the middle of a live stream. I found that live stream at least twice on accident and listened to it and went, wow. But because of the term mentally ill, you get to hear from these mental health workers and these people in this situation that the things I've been telling you that you call me schizophrenic for are true. The dynamics are true. These are verified by workers in the field, including Marcia Estrada, including Megan Misigatis. But you know what else is proven? What else has been proven is that these people didn't do their jobs as mandated reporters. The jobs that I was told they do, they don't. And of course, in some of these situations, they're supposed to. Obviously, Jen Beebe was supposed to do that. Obviously, Penny Cooper was supposed to do that. Obviously, Kara Heller was supposed to do that. Obviously, the only one out of all of them that actually tried to help me how I needed, who actually understood my disabilities, who didn't treat me like I was a fucking retard was Tamara, and that was all the way back in 2017. When Tamara quit, I was fucked. But I tried to find help from other people. I tried to get help from Veronica Bruce from Region 2. I knew her from growing up, but she was fucking drunk and treated me like shit. Like, I asked her, please, could you stop doing the messaging thing? Please call and listen, please. Could you, please? By the time she finally did, she made the time when she was on her downtime. This is a very serious situation that I'm dealing with, and she's calling me when she's on her relaxation time. I'm expected to understand this, right? Well, I did. I did my best to understand. When she started screaming and shouting at me on the phone, and I didn't know what to do. What I knew is that she was fucking belligerent as all hell, and I needed help stopping abuse from people like Tim Beeson. And Tim Beeson, I never saw him in real life. Ever. It's not like he was one of the people that was stalking me in Boulder. He wasn't. You know how many times Tim Beeson slapped my phone out of my hand? He never did. He only threatened me on the internet and by phone. So, he didn't threaten me in real life. He wasn't the fucking problem in real life. Tim Beeson, when did he create issues for me in specific? That would be in Virginia. When I was in Virginia visiting Natalie, and he was fucking needy as all hell because he's a whiny little fucking crybaby bitch. Oh no, she won't touch your penis anymore because you fucking stole her dog and fucking held her down and fucking screamed in her face. Yeah, dude, I understand why she's not fucking with you. You don't get no sympathy for that. If you'd have put your gun in your fucking face and pulled the trigger while I was in Virginia, but you didn't, did you? No, he just kept on threatening it. And Natalie, she was going fucking nuts from this. And a lot of you guys say, oh, well, you know, if you knew she was going through that, why were you fucking doing it to her? I wasn't. I was trying to get a stop put to the violence that I was enduring because rumors got out of hand. All right, a straight up lie got out of hand and turned into a bunch of rumors that I was being abused over. And of course, nobody would listen to me because of the label of mentally ill. A lot of these people who listened to me before and helped me before, you can hear these people telling me about they're throwing it in my face as their excuse for doing nothing after Natalie died. These people were involved in the situation before and after Natalie was killed, and they want to pretend like none of that happened because they don't want their name associated. Well, too fucking late. I already recorded it. I already took the screenshots. What I'm trying to do is get it in fucking court, get those predators off the fucking streets. If I have to fucking shame your name and show that you are a dishonorable fucking wretch, by God, I'll fucking do it. Don't be so fucking stupid. Just because I didn't know how to do those things, you thought that you'd prey on it. That doesn't mean I'm not trying to learn and that I won't ever. Sure, you got some extra time because I got to try to do things the old-fashioned way, trial and fucking error. But that ain't going to save you forever. And of course, there's people that are going to try to use that to pretend I'm threatening people's lives. No, I'm not. I'm threatening you with prison time. I'm threatening you with jail time. I'm threatening you with charges for conspiracy. I don't hate you. God, I hope this thing's still recording. It keeps freezing up on me. But how many times have police officers used a mentally ill excuse to kill people? How many times did my supposed friends, when they did fucked up shit and they allowed an innocent man to be harmed because they were too cowardly to come forward? If you're going to tell me those things, you need to tell the cops, and I tell them that over and over. And how many times have these people played victim after I post up the truth? Oh, you're posting up my personal business. Well, it affects me. It affects my safety, and it affects the safety of my loved ones, including my sister and you, so don't play stupid. You pretend that I'm selfish for telling the truth. No, you're selfish for not telling the truth. You know what makes me smarter than you? You tell me I'm the most honest person you know. For years and years, you tell me shit like this. You also admit that you're a fucking drunk or you're on drugs and that you're obviously long term, but you don't want to believe that has any effect on your ability to think or remember shit. So then, when you get shit wrong, you fucking lied to me, right? Intentionally or not, you misled the situation. Now you got two choices at that point. You can either break the law and try to hide it, or you can admit you fucked up. How many people admitted they fucked up? Me. Scott DeCosta admitted that his deputies fucked up. That's right, passing the buck. It's not his fault. It's not his fault Jordan Anderson didn't do his job. Well, I didn't say that it was Scott DeCosta's fault that Anderson didn't do his job. I said it was Scott DeCosta's fault that Scott DeCosta didn't do his job. And you got to see how they got to treat me like I was diagnosed as schizophrenic by calling me mentally ill. By calling me mentally ill, they were able to deprive me of all of my rights and do all of the things that a man does to a woman when he beats the shit out of her and he doesn't want anybody to know. You lock them up, you take away their phone, you take away the keys, you take away the vehicle, you lock them in a fucking room until the bruising goes away, and while they're locked up, you run around and you tell everybody that they're fucking crazy. And you guys want to pretend I'm out of my goddamn mind when I say that this was all decided before court. You get to see how people are angry with me because I spoke out about how they took their dear sweet fucking time. You get to see that those people who are angry are still the people that I'm repeatedly told to go back to. Meg Missigatis got sick and fucking tired of telling me that it's not her job. She got sick and tired of it. She finally, when prompted, I had to call the Dual County Sheriff's Department and have a deputy come and meet me and have him and call her as soon as he showed up and say, all right, now fucking explain it, Meg. So even she, my autism advocate, who did a lot of fucked up shit, she played on the mentally ill tag. When fucked up shit happened because she wanted to ignore the situation and not come forward, was it right? Was it okay for those police officers to irk their duty and shove it onto Megan Missigatis for all those months? Was it okay for Megan Missigatis to repeatedly tell me that it's not her job, but not do so publicly? Not inform the public or the courts that it wasn't her job beforehand? She needed to do those things because when I did it, I was treated like I was crazy. And that's where the issue was, is that before Natalie was killed, people wanted to treat me like it was no big deal. It didn't matter, like I was fucking crazy. I went to my friends for help because the police wouldn't do shit. I went to my friends for help because Natalie Bollinger wouldn't do shit. I was being abused and none of these people would do anything about it. All over the term mentally ill. You say the right lies and it makes everything okay. You also get to see from Natalie that she pushes the stalker thing real heavy, but she never says I raped her. She never says that I fucking tried to molest her. She never says anything of the fucking sort. Neither does Alicia Bollinger. When I go to the cops about it, they say they can't do anything about public opinion. Then they charge me with bogus charges, put it in the newspaper, put it in the news. And then eventually they always drop the fucking charges. The charges they were able to get to stick, they had to steal evidence and hold that fucking evidence hostage to get me to fucking plead guilty so that I could get that evidence and show the wrongdoing of these fucking cops and the Bollingers. Now that situation with my sister shows both Bollinger and police involvement in harassing her by methods that, of course, Marcia Estrada was already aware of. She had already been told about the situation with the cops driving around my house. I hadn't told her that. I hadn't told her that at that point. I had kept that hush-hush because I knew if I said anything, it'd sound fucking crazy. Joe Newman's daughter, I'm pretty sure that's who it is, but it might not be Joe Newman's daughter. There's a chance that because Sandy Fromm got busted stalking Toby Smith. You guys who were a part of this at the beginning, you know who Toby Smith is. He's the guy who wanted to hook me up with bikers and have them bikers kill Ted Bollinger. I'm not fucking okay with that. That'd make Ted fucking Bollinger a goddamn martyr. Kind of like when people were saying I should kill these fucking public officials, or that they would. No, that makes a fucking martyr. Why am I against killing these people for the crimes that they've committed? Because the law would have worked if anybody had actually followed it. The law would have worked if the police would have followed it. The law would have worked if the sheriff's departments would have followed it. The law would have worked if my friends would have followed it, if they would have tried the judicial process instead of being cowards and being afraid that their past was going to come bite them in the ass. You know what? I've got the evidence. Your past is arbitrary. The fact that I told you about these incidences, whether you were a fucking felon or not, I still told you. Whether they try to pretend like you're a bad person and fucking discredit you because of your past, the same thing can be done with my predators. Look at Danica Lachelle Garner. Look at Rochelle Shelley Campbell. Look at Rose M. Kelly. Look at Ted Bollinger. Ted Eugene Bollinger, in specific. All of these people have records longer than my fucking arm. All of these people have an actual history of drug use and abuse. Not people pretending, not drug addicts just pretending that these people are on drugs, or cops who don't want to get in fucking trouble claiming. No, these people actually got busted with the drugs. They got busted with the guns. They got busted with those things. They got busted doing the things I told you they did to me. And I told you I needed help getting the body cameras. But nobody helped me. They were too busy trying to paint me as a villain. And the worse it got, the more I screamed for help. But I didn't start off screaming, did I? You use the term mentally ill to make everyone with 509 different diagnoses in the DSM-5, and you want to take every single one of the people in there, every single one of those diagnoses, and you want to blanket them all as if they're all violent schizophrenics. When you want to discredit somebody, you just say that they're mentally ill, mentally ill, mentally ill. Well, that's what makes you mentally ill. You guys want to argue the sentiments and argue a word that I got wrong. Well, you know what? We can argue for a whole hour that I got that word wrong. It doesn't make any fucking difference if I got that word wrong. You understood the context of which I was using it in, and that, yes, I used the word wrong. I may have, and I do apologize. But should we have a 20-minute argument over that word? No, we shouldn't. You're going to stop every fucking sentence to argue sentiments. Well, the more you do that, the more difficulties that I have in speaking, the more difficulties I have in communicating, the more anxiety that I have. Because if I open my mouth, you've got some fucking excuse already pre-built in. Just like you've got built-in fucking, well, not just excuses. Your excuse to pretend like you helped is to tell somebody a pretty mean. You just need to love yourself. If somebody is being abused and they're coming to you for help stopping that abuse, they do love themselves. Jesus fucking Christ.